Hello and welcome along to episode 4 of the Yorkshire Football Podcast. A different voice introducing it this week. Dom has shied away because of Bradford's recent poor form, which is fair enough. I'm Tom, Leeds fan, can I say?
You are definitely, looking at your Twitter, a Leeds fan.
Yeah, fair enough. I try and be neutral as much as possible, but so we've got a Leeds dominance, I think it's fair to say, haven't we?
It's about time we turn that Bradford dominance into Leeds dominance. We've done it, episode 4.
It's going to be a tough one today, listening to you two.
It is, and it's not like Leeds have been doing well at all this week, so you haven't got, recent weeks, so you haven't got much to suffer. It's Tom, Mike Halinsky. Do we go for full names on this? How would you like to be referred?
No, that's fine, Just want to make sure people know
Michael Halinsky, and making his physical debut, I've been reliably informed after a few voice appearances. Flanners, how are we?
Good, thank you. Can we have a bit of a round of applause, please, for that? No?
Well, I can't because I'm holding the microphone,
but
I'll edit one in. I'll edit one into the...
Right, I'm going to remind you of this halfway through, then I want an applause halfway through.
I think Dom's not here because he's too big time now. He's down in Cheltenham. He's got a blue tick on Twitter.
By the way, the fact now he's got this blue tick and he's promoting it on social media that he's got a blue tick.
He's the biggest fraud to come out of Bradford since
Michael Halinsky, probably.
He didn't get the rest of us one, by the way. He sorted himself out. Which
I have to own up, I got him the blue tick.
He didn't get himself
Did
one.
he come begging for it though? Did he ask you to get him one?
Yeah, well, I mentioned it in a conversation before one of the podcasts the other week, and I said I might be able to get him one. I have got him one, and now he's putting it on his Instagram.
Can you get me one?
I can probably. I don't know. It's up to Twitter at the
pretty
end of
big
the day.
deal in Bradford. I'm up there with Zayn Malik.
I can confirm, to be fair.
Before you got Dom, his blue tick, I hope you put some T&Cs in place so that the Yorkshire Football Podcast has got to be in his bio.
True, it is now in his bio, and I did text him about that. But yeah, maybe we need our official social media channels verifying next before any of us get too big time.
I was going to ask how we all are, but I think that's answered it. I think it's a pretty annoyed-ish atmosphere, considering one of them's gone too big time and has roped me in as a replacement because he's
like
got
I said
blue
to
tick
him,
AWOL. That's what we'll call it.
If you have a good performance, you keep the jersey. We're going for the Marcelo Bielsa tactics of podcasting here.
Well, it's going to be a injury cover, 1 in, 1 out type performance. I can strongly say. Right, should we get into it? Let's get straight into it. Let's go. Division order. So we'll start, of course, in the Premier League. We've changed location, by the way, this week. So if there is a bit of a background noise, everyone's out. We're in a glass room. People are just looking at us here. They're all out having fun. We're having more fun talking.
And the
Yorkshire
charges,
football.
but it's southern prices as well. £4.90 for a pint.
£5.50 for a pint for me.
That's bought mine, mate.
We should be thankful that they've let us in, but we're not really thankful because we're paying 40 quid for a pint.
I'd bought mine, so I don't know how much it was. Thank you. Right, straight into it then. So I was this is gonna get into a bit bullying. So I'm going into you saying that you bought me a pint but no one else. You've sorted Dom out of a blue tick. We're on the same side of the table. I can see that one side of the table's very happy at the moment, the other side not so much. Giving us a few expressions. Right, straight into it. Premier League, Sheffield United, 1-1 draw at home to Brighton. Bit of a surprise result that you expected them, considering Brighton haven't won this year. I think 5 of their 8 have been draws, no win. Fancy him to get a home win there.
Yeah.
Slipped up.
You're a lot better at stats than Dom already. Very good stats.
I'm very good at remembering numbers. As long as everything's in number form, I can remember it.
Yeah, on that result, I think they'll probably see it as points dropped. They were at home. If you look at where they are in the league, they'll definitely look at that and think that was a game where they should be getting 3 points and put a bit more pressure on that 5th place. Saying that, they're still in touching distance of Man United. They're still in the race. But 1-1, I do think that they'll be looking at as a bit of a disappointing result after recent form and recent results.
It's quite interesting because I was listening to Chris Wilder's interview after the game, and he was giving out rave reviews about their performance, saying it's probably one of the first times this season the performance has been better than the result. So yeah, just looking at the next fixtures coming up, they've got Reading in the Cup next. After that, 4 Premier League fixtures. We've got Norwich, bottom, Newcastle, bottom half, then United and Spurs, who, I mean, let's face it, if Sheffield United are wanting to chase down that European spot, it's the United and Spurs games that they want to...
I think 7 points out of that 4 games would be quite reasonable, and I think they'd be quite happy with, and that's beating the 2 obviously teams near the bottom, Norwich and Newcastle, and that's not a given that you're going to do that either. Obviously, as we've just seen, they didn't beat Brighton. But even if they can pull off a point against Man United or Tottenham, I think that's a good running out of those 4 games.
Are we saying they're chasing 5th now as well for Champions League with Man City?
Would you have them as a top 5 finish this season, do we think?
I personally don't think that they will finish in the top 5, well, in that 5th spot, but they are in the running. If you look at the other teams that are in that running, Sheffield United have probably as good a chance as any of them, but I do think it's Man United or Tottenham's place. I really do.
It's mad that we're even having this conversation, really. Sheffield United tracking down that 5th spot.
I think we expected them to do fairly okay in the Premier League given Chris Wilder. We did not expect them to be challenging for Europe, though. This has been an absolutely phenomenal season, and worst scenario is they finish 9th, do we think? 8th, 9th, based on current standings?
Well, Burnley are only 3 points behind Sheffield United, and Burnley have received, I know they've been in the Premier League for quite a few seasons now, but they haven't received quite the plaudits they have, and to say they're only 3 points behind, that's another incredible achievement by Sean Dyche there. Everton are only 4 points behind them, so you never know, it could completely tail off and they finish bottom half, but I don't see it happening. I think it's more likely that a team like Wolves, potentially with Europa League involvement, are the ones who fade off, and they might see their route into the Champions League by winning the Europa League. But like Flanders says, it's some achievement. 2 drop points last weekend, it's fairly safe to say, but the season they're having is still quite extraordinary.
The City thing doesn't help, though, does it, Sheffield United? You look at, because I think their CAS appeals in early June, I want to say, which means that their Europa League qualifiers will be the end of June. It's not an ideal situation for absolutely anyone if they are to get Champions League, which sounds bizarre, but we don't know how this thing is going to go at the moment. The whole scenario, the whole timing, just doesn't seem ideal for anyone at the moment, Sheffield United included.
I still won't be surprised if City just end up with a big fine rather than a European ban or a suspended ban.
I mean, you've seen the amount of lawyers that have got
like
dealing with UEFA at the minute.
An army of them. They just can't be beaten, basically. But next game, Sheffield United. What we're saying then, we kind of touched on the next fixtures, but we'll kind of come to it properly in a little bit. But fancy him to get back to winning ways after a fairly disappointing home draw, despite what Chris Wilder says.
Yeah, for me, I think sort of, as Flanner said there, the next 2 fixtures, I think they've got to be looking at 6 points for them 2 fixtures to really be putting the pressure on the likes of Man United, Tottenham, Wolves. I think the next 4 games will definitely see where Sheffield United's season's going to finish, really.
Just on the next fixtures as well, they've actually, before the Premier League games, they've actually got a cup game at Reading. I think having this conversation now, if Sheffield United, the likelihood is that they are going to win at Reading. I think it's another sensational achievement that they're in them final stages of that cup competition.
The Carabao Cup final screwed them over, hasn't it, this weekend, because they don't play this weekend, but it'd be pretty significant. For them, though, the focus has got to be on that league position, isn't it? So,
as a Leeds fan, it reminds me that, Sheffield United were in this position last year. We're not far off. If we can just get promoted this season, I'm bringing back to Leeds already. If we can just get promoted this season, we're not far off putting something
that's
together.
That's the same logic as saying Norwich got promoted last season and they're also bottom.
Yeah, true.
To provide some balance to it. But you mentioned Leeds there. We'll go into the Championship. No better place to start from a Yorkshire perspective, because Leeds, of course, sit in second, 5 points clear after victory over Middlesbrough. It wasn't a great game, was it? It was a bit meh. But Leeds still won. Of
both
course,
games
in
the last week have been stressful, and they shouldn't have been. Reading game, 1-0 win. Pablo Hernandez with a really nice goal. The entire game, though, we should have been typical Leeds. We should have been 3-4 up. I feel like I say the same thing every week on this podcast. Patrick Bamford hates to pile on again, but missing plenty of chances. He had a really good opportunity first half of the Reading game. Ball played across, just completely missed the ball, which for a £7 million striker who's got to do better. And then Reading, after all our pressure, after all our dominance, Reading nearly go and pinch it with an equaliser at the end. Liam Moore turns Liam Cooper, centre-back that's been chucked upfield by the manager. And all of a sudden he's one-on-one with Kiko Casilla, who finally sort of repays some of his faith from Bielsa. Then, Middlesbrough game, similar story. I mean, Middlesbrough weren't as bad as I thought they would be, but Leeds were missing Phillips. The game was very open, and the quality did tell in the end. Leeds were definitely the better team, but again, 1-0. As a fan, I don't think I can survive this last 12 games if it's going to be like that every week. It's so stressful. We should be. I mean, the amount of chances when Ayling gets to the byline and you just square it, Bamford can just tap it in, and the ball's poor, and then it hits Bamford, it doesn't go in, and we should have had a penalty on Harrison, and so many chances just going to waste. And it's a really good week for Leeds because of the 2 wins and the results around them, with the other teams slipping up yet again. But you feel like they can only go so far not taking these chances. Sooner or later they need to start being more clinical in front of goal, or it's going to cost them.
My calculations say that Leeds need 80 points to be automatically promoted. I think 79 is going to be the 3rd place marker this year. It's not that much, but
that's only 15 points from our last 11.
Basically, you're winning half. Leeds win half of their last games and they're up. It's going to be a low tally this year. So you say it's nervy. It's 1-0ers, but 5 more 1-0ers against some pretty poor teams. Leeds got to play Luton at home. Right in saying they've got to play Charlton at home on the last day, and Lee Bowyer's the manager there. So if it comes to it, and they're safe, let me tell you, I don't think they'll be trying that much. Leeds' fixtures are good. Only Fulham at home's the last top 7 team to be played, right?
Yeah, Fulham at home's the only on
so
paper the tough one.
You talk about being nervy,
but there is teams like Barnsley who are in form. Go away to Cardiff, away to Hull, who this Saturday will be well up for that game. So on paper, compared to our rivals, yeah, I wouldn't swap our position. We're in the best position. We've got the best fixtures coming up, but it doesn't matter who we play. It seems if we're having one of those games where we just can't take our chances, it's not going to go in.
How do you solve a problem like Patrick Bamford though? Because you
bench him.
You imagine that Augustin picked up a knock, didn't he? So he couldn't play on Wednesday. So he was out injured.
I think
Bamford
Bamford
needs with injuries. You might never see him again.
He needs a rest. He needs to get out of the team. His work rate is good, but I didn't think that was as good as it has been last night. I think he showed a few signs of tiredness. He looked very easy to defend against for me. He was just sort of mulling around the park, not really challenging for headers. Then, he's not the quickest striker. We all know he's not a clinical striker. I'd be tempted to put Tyler Roberts in whilst he's fit and his legs are actually in one piece at the moment for Bamford. Keep Bamford on the bench, definitely, for Hull, but I would like to see us change it because, like I say, he's a striker who's, at the minute, he's devoid of confidence. Even for our goal, he's through on goal. You want your striker putting his head down, dribbling it to the edge of the box and taking a shot there, but his first thought is to square it, which it was the right option, but in a way I kind of, at the time I was thinking, why aren't you going for goal? Like, get your head down, have a drive at goal and have a shot. I think he needs to come out of the team, and Roberts is, I do rate Roberts, he's a good player and he's a good finisher.
Go for you, Flanners.
Do you think Bielsa playing Bamford week in, week out is having more of a negative impact on Bamford?
Yeah, that's my point exactly. I think the team is playing well, but we get to a point where we just need someone who's going to take all these chances. And Bamford is at the point now where I don't see what harm a match out a team will do for him. I think he needs that break. Get Roberts in, fresh legs.
The team play better with Bamford in it though.
The team plays.
The chances obviously are the focal point because he's a striker, but the team play a lot better with him. His all-round play is exceptional.
I didn't think it was that good against Middlesbrough. It has been really good. For me, for the first time against Middlesbrough, he showed signs of tiredness, and against Reading, he wasn't very good either. So, I think now's the time. If we go to Hull on Saturday and lose 1-0 and have a shed load of chances and miss, it's all going to come back on Bamford in a negative way. I think just for the sake of squad rotation, that's what I'd do. I'd put Roberts in, give him a chance. It should be said Bielsa isn't going to do this, and this isn't what I think Bielsa will do. It's what I would do.
Here, but yeah.
And Bielsa knows far more about football than me and any of us at this table. But it's very frustrating.
Like watching the game last night, and when I have seen your on other Sky TV games, last night where you have all those chances created, it just seems to be the obvious thing every time. Like I said, Bamford missing these chances, and then And when I was watching last night's game, it would make me think. I just didn't understand why. It's going back to Eddie, when he never really got a chance. Big Kev's coming in. I know you covered it last week saying, is he really Bielsa fit? The Man City lad, I don't really know what's going on there, but is his Bielsa's loyalty to players, is it hindering you a little bit? Because watching you last night and watching the other games where I've seen you play, I generally think that you could have took this league by storm if you had what I'm going to call a proper number 9, because I don't think Bamford's a proper number 9. Because a proper number 9 is the one who takes his chances. Like exactly what you said there, he'll get his head down, he won't think about squaring into midfielder, he'll think about putting his chance away himself. And I think a striker who's going to score, okay, he scored 12 so far this season, you've missed a striker who's going to score. And I know it's hard to come by sometimes, but in the summer you should have gone hell for leather for a 25 goal scorer striker for the championship.
Well, I'd argue we got one in Nketiah. Bielsa just stuck with Bamford through thick and thin, and Nketiah didn't get the chance, and now he's gone back to Arsenal and he's already scoring. I think, is Bielsa hindering Leeds? No, because...
No, I don't mean hindering Leeds, I just mean hindering his loyalty to Bamford. Could it hinder you? Where could have you been further clear? Could you have been top of... I know it's all ifs and buts, but do you think his loyalty has held you back a little bit, shall I say?
I'd have liked to have seen Nketiah come into this team around early October and really take that number 9 position and make it his own, because the argument surrounding Nketiah is, he doesn't work hard as Bamford, he doesn't put himself about. I actually don't think there's that big a gap between them, and in terms of finishing there's a big gap, and Nketiah's streets ahead. That's a regret, and I dare say Bielsa in the back of his mind might even regret that, because now we've lost Nketiah and we're sort of stuck with Bamford because Augustin isn't fit. So it's one of them. I think Bielsa, his loyalty is it's a positive in most cases. I think in this case it's maybe time to give, and I'm sure he's even thinking it's maybe his time to give Bamford a rest and get him out of the firing line. You can, and I'm not saying bench Bamford for the rest of the season, I'm just saying maybe just take him out against Hull, maybe take him out, maybe he could have been taken out last night against Borough, and bring him back in nice and fresh and give him a breather and let him reset in his mind and go again. But Bielsa loves him, he loves his work rate, and he's very loyal.
A team that did beat Leeds back in January, I think it was, called Sheffield Wednesday. Jesus Christ, they've needed a victory. That finally came against Charlton on Wednesday night. Should we hear from John Riley? He's not here today. Should we find out his thoughts?
Let's do it.
On the contest, yeah, this is what John had to say on that narrow 1-0 victory over Charlton.
Marcelo Bielsa wears Gary Monk pyjamas. Fact. Now, you might be listening to other podcasts and think, it's a bit down, that Wednesday fan. He's really depressing. He's always got a bloody grey cloud over his head. Not anymore. That's after Super Stephen Fletcher popped up, 94th minute. Boom, have that. Wednesday 1, Charlton 0. Now, got Derby on Saturday, or should I say Wayne Rooney's Derby County. Then we've got City Inc. Cup. So we'll probably be looking at like a, promotion FA Cup double after that. Yeah, just 1-0 win, that's all it takes. I think we're going to go on a great run now. Promotion, done. FA Cup, done. Have a nice summer. England will probably win Euros. Might go to Marbella, who knows. Might have a weekend in Benidorm. Take our lass. Really great time. But happy again. So, what Wednesday fans around the world, yeah, let's have it. Promotion FA Cup. Next.
Am I right in hearing him saying that Marcelo Bielsa wears Gary Monk pyjamas?
He's been drinking
can't be
again.
having that. He's had a few.
He's been drinking that Yorkshire tea again.
One too many teas.
He's just too ecstatic. And I mean, what a way though for Wednesday to win. They desperately needed a victory. I mean, they were trying absolutely everything. I think Forestieri played wing back at one point in all these formation changes. What a win.
Could that be the late playoff push?
No. I did enjoy it. I'm going to chuck them in the same category as Sky chucking out their championship review the other night and going, Derby's playoff hopes are faded. Yeah, the 14th probably will. But yeah, what a win that is for Wednesday to get that against a Charlton side who I think their position's a bit deceptive in the table because they do grind a bit, don't they? They're a tough side to beat.
It's a bit of a shame, really, with Sheffield Wednesday.
No, it's not.
Going back a couple of months.
Don't sit on the fence.
Going back a couple of months, you had Stephen Fletcher, who was absolutely flying. He gets ruled out for a couple of months, and the dip in form has been ridiculous, basically. For a club of Sheffield Wednesday size to need a player of Stephen Fletcher that much, it's a bit daft, really. First time he starts in 2 months, scores the winner, 3 points. First time they've won at home since December-ish. Don't quote me on that, might be wrong.
It must be because the only win they've had this year was against Leeds away, obviously.
It's the first time since they beat Leeds in about mid-January, wasn't it, where they came and just
it's
had
funny
a game plan which they executed perfectly.
I could have sworn they got promoted that day, seeing the celebrations and the songs, which I don't know why they're still playing in the Championship, but it must be some new rule where
I did say this before, that since they stole the Leeds Don't Pump It Up song and were singing The Owls Are Going Up, they hadn't won a game since then, which was just how football works, isn't it? But yeah, a great win for them. And mention playoffs, but it's too much now, isn't it? You're just trying to get into that 10th, 9th spot potentially by the end of the season.
You say that, but I don't know if you saw Neil Harris's interview after Cardiff obviously lost, and he was very positive that they've still got a very big chance of making the playoffs, and they're only 2 points ahead of Sheffield Wednesday. And don't get me wrong, I'm not sitting here forgetting I think Sheffield Wednesday are going to make the playoffs. I don't. But when you hear managers talking like that, and you look at the table and you think, if they could get a run together, you never know.
Neil Harris talks shit though, doesn't he?
They're the views of Matthew Flanagan.
That's the podcast title sorted. There we go. But don't sit on the fence.
The problem is there's too many teams ahead of them. They need too many teams to go on a bad run. If they were 8 points off 6th and they were in 7th, then they only need one team above them to falter.
I'm just trying to give Riley a bit of hope, all right?
I'm trying to take that hope away from him.
Just like big grin on his face.
I want John Riley to listen to this on his commute into work and want to turn around and go back to bed and start crying his eyes out because they've got no chance. They're done.
On Wednesday's squad, though, it seems to be the same every year. You've got key players like Fernando Forestieri, well, supposedly key players, go missing for months on end. Then apparently had a blinder last night. He needs a contract in the summer. He'll probably have 2 or 3 good games, then go missing again. Get a new contract. That's him done.
I get what you mean. This Wednesday squad has got so much talent, more talent in it than their position suggests. But they do still seem top heavy. There's so many strikers in that Wednesday squad. They just haven't balanced it out at all. I mean, Hector was on loan there last year, and they didn't manage, obviously, with everything that's going on. They lost him, and there's no real long-term plan in that time.
There always seems to be a massive overhaul required at Sheffield Wednesday, no matter who leaves.
Well, let's play a game. Let's play a game of Bamford or, like, with Sheffield Wednesday strikers. Would you rather have Jordan Rhodes or Bamford?
Jordan Rhodes.
Bamford
Over Rhodes?
Yeah.
Bamford, yeah.
Rhodes is slow.
In which team? In Leeds or Sheffield Wednesday's team?
The Leeds. To be fair, I think Bamford would do even better as part of a striking duo.
I could see Bamford at Wednesday, actually.
He can do all the work, the hard work that goes into all-round play. Someone could play off him and score the goals, basically.
That strike force would be seriously slow.
Connor Wickham or Bamford? Connor Wickham. Josh Windass or Bamford? Josh Windass.
I'd rather Gary Windass, mate.
Me nan or Bamford? Me nan.
I think I'd have Ati Nuyu over Bamford.
The tank.
He's a beast. Every
Freak
time
of
he's
nature.
unplayable. I don't know why. If I was Gary Monk, I'd put him in. I don't watch him every week, but every time I've seen him, he just scores at Ellen Road.
It's because he always scores against Leeds, if I remember rightly.
Did you see Wednesday's goal last night? Fletcher's.
Oh, yeah, it's proper just
ball falls to
striker,
Nuyu,
isn't
tries
it?
to over a kick, it misses completely, and Fletcher heads it in.
As a Nuyu fan, I call it a tactical assist.
I think we're all in agreement.
Good feet for a big man.
Absolutely, the old cliche. Where should we go next? Should we talk? Let's go Huddersfield, because they've won as well. Let's look at the teams that are currently winning.
Quite a good midweek for the Yorkshire
It's
teams.
been we're talking through this list, and it's like everyone's won. Just wait till we get to Hull. Let's hear from Gunners then. He was obviously talking Huddersfield. Let's hear from him first, and then we'll kind of hear what he has to say and pick up on the back of it.
My take on Town this past few weeks, had a pretty scathing rant lined up for Adam following the 3-0 loss against Cardiff, drawing at home to Derby and then losing at Swansea. But the performance on Tuesday night against Bristol has completely changed my mind. So much so that I'm going to say it now. Huddersfield staying up this season. We're 5 points clear of the drop. We've got some winnable games coming up, minus Leeds, which I know Adam will be licking his lips at in the next week. But we had double the shots over Bristol. We swapped out Kachung on the right-hand side for Chris Willock, which for me was a bit of a masterstroke from Danny Cowley. Not only did he bag his first goal, but he was constantly interlinking with Emil Smith-Rowe, which them two combined just bring a completely new lease of energy into the squad. Both young lads, promising potential. They've been out on loan at a few teams, and I just think from now on, if we can build on performances like that and capitalise teams who haven't really had the best form, Bristol only winning 1 in 5, just making the most of our home form. Admittedly, away we do struggle. I think our heads drop a little bit, particularly if we concede. Swansea was a perfect example of that. Just not being able to sustain any momentum. But no, I think form-wise, we've got what it takes now to build on this 5-point gap and see the season out and beat the drop before the final day. So that for me is a successful season for Town. And hopefully the teams around us can help us get there. So up the Town, let's have it.
Should we chuck Barnsley into them actually as well, because those two are both at the bottom, but for differing reasons. It's a lot happier camp at Barnsley at the moment with 3 consecutive wins. A big win at Fulham as well recently, which you spoke about in the last episode. It's a tough one at the moment down there.
Yeah, I think if you go back a few episodes where John was trying to give a bit of a summary on Barnsley, he didn't have a clue what he were on about, but it seems like he does now, because since he mentioned that they were going well at the time, that they've gone 3 unbeaten, 3 wins in a row. But they've literally pulled themselves out of nowhere at Barnsley. They've really put themselves in a shout of staying up, and now they are only 3 points off of safety, 3 points off of Middlesbrough, and going back to sort of Huddersfield as well. Huddersfield got a very important win against Bristol City, but again, they're only 2 points off of safety. So I know it's tight down there. It's really tight down there, and I wouldn't want to call who's going down. I think Flanners got a big opinion on who's definitely going down, so I'll let him come in with that one.
Hull are going down without a doubt.
I wonder why. What's influenced this decision, do we think?
TBC. Hull, they haven't won at home since, I think it's new, or in fact, won a game since New Year's Day. Tommy's out for the season. Can't get a win from anywhere. I think going back to Huddersfield, 3 massive games next. They've got Charlton, must win. Leeds, expect they should be up for the derby. Then Wigan as well, who are also in the relegation zone. Or are Wigan just outside?
No, they're in there. They're in there. They're the third spot. Points as Middlesbrough.
I think them 3 games next for Huddersfield, that's their season.
By the way, can I just make a point? Tom Carnduff in front of him, he's got a MacBook laptop.
Thank you.
I've got a phone in front of me with my notes on. Mike's got a phone. Donny, sheet of paper and a pen. Has technology not reached Doncaster yet?
Mate, oxygen's hardly reached Donny.
They ain't got Wi-Fi. They ain't got Wi-Fi in on it.
Mate, when I want to go on the internet, I still have to unplug my phone.
This is his first time out of Don in 2020 as well.
Nobody ring Flanners when he's on the internet, all right. That brings us nicely on to Donny, actually. Let's dip into League One. We'll talk about Hull a bit later when we kind of look at the weekend preview. It was going so well, and now it's really not going so well, to put it in a nice way. Talk us through Donny. What are we thinking?
I don't know what's happened, really. I mean, the season is in danger of petering out. And Mike predicted this last week on the podcast. He said that Donny were going to finish mid-table. Nevertheless, I'm going to remain glass half full. Wycombe at home this Saturday.
Tough one, that, though.
Tough one, but I'm going to back us to win. We're very strong at home. It's just the away games that we struggle with. I think we've got, after this Saturday, we've got 3 home games left and about 9 away games. So that doesn't bode well. But yeah.
So looking at it there, Flanners, you're 7 points off the playoffs.
Yeah.
With a game in hand over Peterborough, who are sitting in that last playoff spot at the moment. And I brought this up last week on the podcast. I'm not going to go over it again, but just mainly look at the teams who are chasing those playoff spots, like Sunderland, Portsmouth, Peterborough. I think even Fleetwood, the form Oxford are on as well at the moment. I can't personally see you jumping above any of them.
Fleetwood are on fire, aren't they?
Yeah, they are.
Every time I look at Oxford, they're winning 3-4-0. Yeah. I don't know how they're not in the playoffs.
I think they went through a phase where I don't think they won for about 4 games.
You look at the context of Donny's defeats, though. Gillingham, decent home form. Shrewsbury scrapping at the other end of the table as well. They're tough, but
it's
in the context of those 2 defeats individually,
it's disappointing.
It's disappointing, but you can't look too much into it.
At Shrewsbury last week, dominated the game. We weren't at our best, but the chances we missed. We hit the post, we had one cleared off the line, then Shrewsbury go down at the other end and score the most disgusting goal. It just sums up Donny, really. And also, Cameron John at left back. I feel sorry for the kid, on loan from Wolves. Scored 2 on goals the week before. He's playing out of position at left back, normally centre half. He's been left to hang out to dry by Darren Moore. He's not a left back. He's a good centre half. He's not a left back though. We've got Reece James, who arguably up there for player of the season. He got injured a couple of weeks ago. He's out for about another 3 or 4 weeks.
All good footballers are called Reece James, of course, if they play the full-back positions. Exactly. So that's how it works.
It's great when I see Reece James trending.
Just think, get in there, go on the Donny. We'll touch on a bit more on Donny. We'll touch on Rotherham as well a little later on when we talk predictions for the weekend. I want to quickly mention Bradford.
Yes. Save the best for last.
It's why Dom's not here.
Bradford Bulls.
I mean, they're not going much better either.
Yeah,
but
I haven't won yet.
It's a tough one, isn't it, that Newport game? And then Plymouth this weekend, it's not a great position to be in, because when Stuart came back, it looked great, whatever kind of... I know it was... It divided opinion to an extent, didn't it? Because people thought it was a bit of an easy option, but it was someone who had done pretty well in their time at the club in terms of management. It's just not working at the moment, is it?
Yeah, Saturday was massively frustrating. We, again, 2 away games in a row, and obviously I'm not going to go to our away form because it's an absolute disgrace. We've not won away since October, which I was at, against Morecambe.
Strong.
But yeah, you look at Saturday, we went 1-0 ahead through a great header through Clayton Donaldson. 2 minutes later, we conceded a terrible goal from a set piece from a corner, where it was just simple defending, where the defender just needs to pick up his man, simple as that, and it doesn't happen. We conceded our second goal, again, from a corner. Very simple defending. We've got 2 major issues at Bradford City at the moment. One, defensively poor, and we've got no other options. And secondly, we don't have a leader on the pitch. You've got Jake Reeves in the middle of the pitch, who is doing a job of 2 people. He's playing alongside Hope Apcan, who I don't know what's going through his head, because he needs to realise that he's playing for Bradford City and he's playing in front of 15,000, 16,000 people every week. Or next season, when he doesn't get a contract renewed, he's going to be playing in front of 2,000, 3,000. So he needs to decide what he wants. And at the moment, there's too many people who not showing the worth to Bradford City.
At least you've got McCall the saviour.
I've thought of a third problem with Bradford. You're shite.
I'm not buying. But as you said,
that
Plymouth,
was so simple, but just so lovely. That bit of analysis.
I mean, I would take the mick out of a defeat away at Newport, but Leeds lost 2-1 away at Newport ourselves a couple of years ago.
And Michael Flynn, Bradford legend as well. So
yeah, Samuel Saiz spitting 6-game ban.
Oh, when
was that at Newport?
Yeah. Thomas Christiansen. Basically, the beginning of the end for Thomas Christiansen in what was a promising season at that point.
When me and Dom went down to the EFL playoffs last year, he was proper fangirling when Michael Flynn was there. It was just like constantly going on about him. But mentioned Jake Reeves, I do feel a bit sorry for him at times. He's kind of, it's just him, isn't it? The problem with playing at that level is it's the team around you as well, isn't it? And he's just not got it at the moment.
Exactly that, and he definitely needs someone alongside him, because don't get me wrong, Reeves is playing with the heart on his sleeve. Like he's there, he's trying his best, but he's got no one alongside him, and we've got no leader in that middle of the park where someone who's going to put a foot in when you need it, or when things aren't going well to pick the team up. We just don't have that player, and that's the type of player McCall's had before when we have done well. But going into Saturday, for me, it's going to be a big call this, but we're playing Plymouth, very good team. They're going to automatically, whether they win the league, but they'll definitely be in the top 3. But we lose on Saturday, the season over, because that potential of other results with 7 points off playoffs, and it gets to a point where you're relying on other results, then you're relying on us getting back-to-back wins, 3 or 4 wins in a row, and then you're relying on other teams losing. So we don't win Saturday, I genuinely think season could be over.
You can't get 1 win, never mind 4.
Hey, McCall's got 1 win, thank you very much.
I don't get it. You said you put Wednesday forward as late playoff push contenders, and Bradford are only 4 points off, and you're ready to write off the season.
No, you're right, but I'm saying if we lose Saturday, we could be 7 points behind. If we lose Saturday, the advantage we're at home. We're playing a very good Plymouth team. Like what Ryan Lowe's done there is incredible. He did it at Bury last year.
Top gaffer.
He's a very good gaffer at this level. But the reason I'm saying that is because we lose Saturday. That's 3 losses in a row. We then go to Salford. that, again, not an easy game. Look at the money that they've spent. They've still got their own ambitions of trying to make the playoffs, which I personally don't think will happen, and because they're further behind than us. So I just feel like we need that kick-start. So if we lose Saturday, 3 on the bounce, that's that we've lost. Where does that kick-start happen? I don't think it happens at Salford, because again, we've not won away since October. So we're running out of games. So I'm very, very worried if we do not win Saturday. I'll be walking away from Valley Parade as a very upset man if we don't win Saturday.
Who's been starting up front for Bradford?
So we've had a bit of chopping and changing. Like on Saturday, because of the conditions and because of Newport's pitch, I don't know if you saw Newport's pitch, absolutely disgraced.
It's the same every year.
Yeah, ours is much better, so I'm slating theirs, but ours is as bad. But we went up with Donaldson and Novak up front on Saturday, and that's the first start Donaldson has had in the last sort of 3 weeks. Because the idea was there, just try to get the ball out to the wingers, get the ball in the box, pretty much. Second half, we changed it to 3-5-2, and we looked like a much better team. We had to put Shane McCartan in behind the front two, and we looked a much better team.
3-5-2 in League Two.
It's exotic, that, isn't it? Yeah. It's exotic.
Mate, McCall, he's got an A, he's got a plan A, he's got a plan B, he's got a plan C. He's got more plans than Bielsa's, that lad.
He's got one win.
Bielsa's influence must be going down to the lower leagues, different formations now.
Right.
Not just lumping up to the big man.
So, should we go on to happier times? Should we move on to happier? Considering we finished on a bit.
Yeah, come on.
I'm already happy.
Well, this side of the table's happy. That side not so much. This week, so every week we like to ask something, talk about our memories, etc. This week we're going for the goal you've celebrated the most.
I'm looking forward to this.
You can start because you've had to have a little Bradford rant, and Don mentioned this on the last podcast, to which I kind of agree with him that it's Bradford are a pretty good team to support, and those cup runs must have provided some decent goals to celebrate. But which one are you picking?
Yeah, as I was thinking of this when we decided to do this feature, there was sort of 3 games that stood out to me. The obvious one is the Chelsea one. Like when we scored that 3rd goal in particular, when Halliday put us 3-2 ahead, I was in that shed end. All my friends and family was in the top tier. I was in the bottom tier because we all had to buy our tickets separately. So I was celebrating on my own. It was just carnage. But I think the one I'm going to have to go for, and my brother raised it on Twitter, he tagged Yorkshire Podcast, so he dropped me in it, it was out there on social media, and this could have got me a stadium ban, but it was a Johnson's Paint Trophy quarter-final in 2011 versus Sheffield United.
Chopper out.
And it was 1-1 after 90 minutes, and it went to penalties. Harry Maguire missed the penalty for Sheffield United. So that, and then we scored ours, so that put us 1 ahead, and then we got to the last penalty, and Chris Mitchell, a Scottish guy we brought down from, probably going to get this wrong, I'm sure he signed from St Johnstone, potentially. Didn't play many games for us, he sort of played in the cup competitions. He scored the winning penalty, and that took us to 2 games away from Wembley. And I know it's not a great competition, you're going to laugh at competition, but when you get that far in the competition, you want to get to Wembley. When you get to that point, there's no point going out, you want to get to Wembley. So anyway, Chris Mitchell scores that goal with Sheffield United. We took an awesome atmosphere to Sheffield United because it's a bit of a derby. There were thousands of us. And something happened that we all just fell forward, and I fell over the barrier onto the pitch. And my first thought was not to go to the players, it was to get back on, because I didn't want to get chucked out. Even though it was the winning penalty, I was like, the game's ended.
It's good to say this on record. Carry on.
So my brother's trying to drag me back over the barrier. As you can imagine, I'm half on the floor, but he's just grabbing me by my shirt, my Bradford City shirt, dragging me over. And then I feel another 2 arms pull, and I see the stewards grabbing me. And he looks at my brother and just turns to my brother and goes, you either let go or you come in with him. So my brother lets go. So I'm getting dragged out by the steward, but as I'm getting dragged out by the steward, the Bradford players are running over to the Bradford fans celebrating, because obviously we've just won the penalty shootout. And I'm there with Craig Fagan celebrating, and the steward's trying to drag me away from Craig Fagan as we're celebrating, getting through the quarter-final northern section of the Johnson's Paint Trophy. So I think that has to be my best.
So you got kicked out?
Yeah, after celebrating.
Oh, that's a strong start. We should have left that to last on hindsight if I knew this before.
So I think that's going to have to be the one.
I don't think I want to hang about with this riff-raff.
Yeah. This scum. Subhuman scum, to quote Partridge.
If anyone from the football authorities is listening, that's Michael Helinski, resident of...
Yeah, that was 9 years ago.
Well, football banning orders last forever, mate, unfortunately. Moving on, Donny. Have Donny ever had a good moment?
Don't ask.
You know what? I'm going to say something different to what you think it's going to be.
Okay.
I've been quite lucky, really. You might laugh at this, but as I've grown up, it's kind of been like Donny's golden era.
I won't want to see bad era.
Well, bad era, mate. We've been, but the chairman tried to burn stand down for compensation claim.
It's an outstanding documentary, by the way.
Yeah,
it's an outstanding
sensational,
documentary on YouTube.
Anyway, happier times. Yeah, I've grown up in golden generation as such. We've seen us get promoted from the Conference to League 2 to League 1 to the Championship. Seeing my team win at Wembley, which a lot of teams can't say they've done. Appeared once at the new Wembley and won, beat Leeds.
Can't remember it.
But the goal I'm going to go for, it's got to be James Coppinger at Brentford. Last game of the season.
Strong choice.
Last game of the season.
Good choice.
We just needed a draw. I think we were second. We were second. Brentford were third. It was basically winner take all. We just needed to match Brentford's result, who we were playing. 0-0, 91st minute. Brentford get a penalty. You think you're gearing up for another 3 weeks in the playoffs. Trotter misses. Billy Painter trots off down the touchline. Squares his Coppinger. Taps it into the empty net. I can always remember, I was in the away end with my dad, and he had high blood pressure at the time. I can always remember my mum ringing him about 5 minutes after, panicking that he'd had a heart attack because of this drama. But it's got to be Copser's goal, isn't it?
That's a player that you don't hear much about. Trotter. Marcelo Trotter. Where is he now?
I think he went back to Italy.
He was all the rage for a bit, wasn't he, when
was
he
he
was
on
at
loan
Brentford?
from Watford?
Oh, is that
Brentford.
Here? Rodney Trotter, Odell?
Nah, that shit that.
Oh, sorry. I didn't go down well, did it?
I appreciated it, but didn't want to laugh, just in case nobody else did. Strong choice, to be fair. One of those football moments that I don't think gets enough credit.
I think you know why it is.
In the wider scheme of the whole of football, that constantly gets overlooked.
You know why it is? It's because the same season it was Watford v Leicester in the playoff semi-finals, and it was that. Ours was better. Ours was better. It's
was it? I don't know. It's the same thing, surely, wouldn't it?
It's second v third. Whoever wins gets promoted. They had to get to
the
final.
Watford didn't go up, did they, that season? Didn't they lose to Palace, wouldn't it?
No, they lost to Palace, Kevin Phillips.
So maybe Donny's is better, then we'll give you that.
You.
We'll give you that. Ads, Leeds.
Yep, so the two biggest moments for Leeds in recent memory, I actually wasn't at either game. When we got promoted against Bristol Rovers, it was my year 11 prom, so I couldn't go to the game. How tragic is that looking back? Why was I not?
4:30 p.m.
What bird did you take? Was you alright?
No comment.
What were your motor?
We went in a limo.
Oh, nice.
I think everyone's been to a prom in a limo, haven't they?
No.
Mike's nodding his head.
We don't have proms in Donny.
Don't have schools.
I think I just got my mum and dad to drop. I got my dad to drop me off at mine. Not wasting any more money than I have to.
Yeah, that's very economical. But yeah, I wasn't at that game. Then the Beckford 1-0 at Old Trafford, wasn't at that because that was getting tickets for that were too hard. So I'm going to go with actually a shout that Josh Fisk mentioned on Twitter as well, and I had this one in mind before he mentioned it. It's got to be Suleiman Dakara's wonder strike, Leeds against Nottingham Forest in our playoff push in 2017. The reason it stands out is I've never heard a goal celebrated in anything other than a yes. But this was like a what?
More of a confusion.
It was confusion. People were looking at each other. You could straight away tell it was a moment of what have I just witnessed? I've just seen a world-class goal from a player who was absolutely terrible at Leeds.
Do you think that's how Leeds fans felt when Tony Yeboah scored that goal? Do you think that was like the comparison?
I think it probably was, yeah. Yeah, but I think from Yeboah, you at least kind of inclined to expect it.
Yes.
From Dakara, we'd seen very little at Leeds in his time at the club. And all of a sudden, this corner comes out to him on the edge of the box, and 9 times out of 10, 99 times out of 100, that ball's going, it's landing on Gelderd Road. But this time it lands in the top corner.
What's he doing now?
I don't know. I
have a funny feeling. I think he might be in Turkey, that's where he went. There's a great video of that Dakara goal on my Twitter with Alan Partridge commentary over it, by the way. Soon to be verified at Tonsi_22 if you want to check that out. And get that watch it. I'm pretty sure he's in Turkey now, but that's got to be one of the all-time great recent goals, not just for Leeds but in Championship as well.
It was one of them. I turned to my dad and our jaws were on the floor. It was just you just couldn't believe that a player like that had produced that moment of quality. I've just googled Suleiman Dakara and he plays for Ettifaq, which sounds like a photocopying firm, but apparently that's
might well be, mate, to be fair, having watched the rest of him.
Photocopying firm. Where have you plucked that from?
Fair enough.
Ettifaq is a professional football club in Daman, Saudi Arabia.
Daman.
He'll probably be on a wedge there.
He'll
as well, 'cause
probably
he'll
on
be like
a
main man out there,
load.
won't
He'll
he?
be on a load of money, wouldn't he?
Fair play to
See,
him.
my issue is because in my old job I covered Leeds a lot, and in this job I cover Leeds a lot. So you're on the gantry, you can't celebrate that much. Becchio v Chelsea's got to be a strong contender.
Becchio v Chelsea, actually. Becchio against Millwall. That's probably
gonna
the
be a
one.
great Leeds one in recent times.
One. The thing about that game though, it's very tarnished about the end result.
Right, so Wednesday and Huddersfield Town. Let's get them back to back. Let's not give them any more time than we have to. Let's get John Riley Gunners doing through their Sheffield Wednesday, Huddersfield Town goals that they have celebrated the most.
Favourite goal I've ever celebrated watching Wednesday? It's been quite a few, to be fair. I think the most and hardest I've ever celebrated was James Quinn away at Hull 2005 to make it 2-1, and Hull were receiving the title, maybe the runners-up trophy that day, and Wednesday needed a win to get a place in the playoffs from League One. Been a bad couple of years being a Wednesday fan, and that season Paul Sturrock had come in, done big things, turned it around, and we were 1-1 going into the last couple of minutes. Long throw comes into the box, somehow bounces through. James Quinn gets the smallest of touches on it, goes into the back at net. Wednesday fans got absolutely mental. I think I've jumped down tarpaulin, ended up about 3 rows in front, cuddling some bloke from Stocksbridge I've never met before. But, we're cracking. And the reason why I remember it, I think on the first day I'd ever driven to an away match in my car, drove home, lovely little Vauxhall Corsa, put tunes on, as it were back in the day, drove back all the way down A1, onto M18, down to Sheffield, boom, had a great time. What a team, what memories. Today.
Pretty easy one this for Town fans. It's none other than Chris Schindler from the spot, playoff final a couple of years ago to get us into the Premier League. What a day. I was actually lumped in the upper tier that day on my own because my dad couldn't get me tickets with the rest of the family, but got talking to this chap and his son who'd been watching Town for over 10 years, season ticket holders, and it was just a collective sense of belief about the day. And after 120 minutes of football, it was dwindling to say the least. You thought, what, if we're gonna bottle this, it'll be from 12 yards over a penalty shootout. But Chris Schindler came good, scuffs it into the side netting, and I've just never seen anything like it. Grown men crying, love bites, the lot. It was a pretty momentous day, and I'd love to relive it. It leaves me speechless thinking about it. What an occasion! David Wagner's Barmy Army, Premier League. Doesn't get much better than that.
Christopher Schindler's a strong choice, that penalty at Wembley.
It's an obvious choice.
I was there that day, and I was kind of on the side of the press box closest to the Huddersfield Town, and it was just surreal. It was a surreal experience.
It's a good one, but I think it still overshadows it for me that a team went up via the playoffs without scoring a goal.
I mentioned this on the podcast.
They got promoted on negative goal difference, didn't they? It was pretty Surely that makes it better, though.
Nah.
You don't score all playoffs. You win 2 penalty shootouts, and then you get promoted.
That's peak shithousery, that, isn't it?
That is it. If you look shithousery up in the dictionary, it's Huddersfield Town that season because it was perfect.
If you're a fan of
promotion
Huddersfield
campaign.
Town, it doesn't matter. That is going to be the best moment you've celebrated. As a fan of Leeds, if we don't go up this season, having played 2 years of absolutely glamorous, swashbuckling football with a great goal difference, and we end up losing the playoffs again, I'm going to detest Huddersfield Town, and I'm probably going to stop supporting football and go support rugby league team somewhere in West Yorkshire.
Well, that's Leeds' fault, though, isn't it? That second leg against Derby.
Don't. I'm not over that. I never will.
Jobs.
It was in Leeds' hands. It was fairly comfortable.
Actually,
they just decided just to give Derby.
Yeah, we've got the bite.
Just decided to give Derby the old tie easy.
It was definitely a bottle job. But if we'd have had what goes unrecognised from that game, if we'd have had a fully fit team, we would have definitely won that game.
Day off,
Leeds were comfortable right up until Kiko Casilla and Liam Cooper decided to run into each other.
They'd have been more comfortable if Pontus Jansson.
That was the turning
Adam
point.
Forshaw, Kemar Roof, someone else missing as well because we basically brought Izzy Brown off the bench out of nowhere.
His first is pretty much one of 2 appearances for Leeds was that free kick in the 93rd minute.
Barry
which he
Douglas,
gloriously blazed
Tyler
over.
Roberts. All these players were out for Leeds. That goes on. Was Shackleton? Oh no, Shackleton played. Someone else was out. We had 6 players out.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my
Lost,
bad.
didn't they?
Can't be arsed.
Unfortunately, history doesn't remember that. In I've been trying to do like in the Championship a year by year thing. So, you know, after 34 games, after 35, and unfortunately, the history records only show the score, not the amount of injuries you had going into that one.
It'll all be fine when we get promoted at Pride Park on the second to last day of the season, and Frank Lampard's
that's a real
watching
potential.
TV
Is that a
crying.
possibility?
On a
Well,
side
it's
note, penultimate game of the season, Leeds play at Pride Park. Fuck, how good would that be if Leeds got promoted?
will not let that happen. I'm saying.
Oh,
now.
but imagine. So
Wazza
not
will
o-
be in Yorkshire Purlo's pocket.
Not only will Leeds
It'll
get
come out when he's
promoted
told to.
at the team that denied them their closest ever chance, bar Watford, was it, in the playoffs in 2006 or whatever. Wayne Rooney as well, notorious Leeds villain, will be on that Derby team as well.
I don't mind. Do you know what? I don't mind Rooney. He's a Leeds Rhinos fan.
That's true, actually, to be fair. He's redeemed himself a bit with the City, but don't tell me that's the perfect way you'd want Leeds to go up, surely.
I'm calling it now. Derby 1, Leeds 0. Richard Keogh jumps off the advertising boards, runs to the Leeds end, signs a new contract with Derby in front of him.
Hobbles over the advertising board, you mean? Wheels himself onto the pitch.
And out jumps the Leeds defence to score for 1-0. Right, moving on. Predictions then. Big week of games, we'll run through them. So it's Hull v Leeds. We didn't really talk about Hull before, but they're not very good. To sum it up for you, they've not won since the 4th of January in all competitions. I think 6 of the last 7, if you're a Hull season ticket holder, have been defeats, so it's not been great. Huddersfield v Charlton, Reading v Barnsley, and Sheffield Wednesday v Derby. Let's go through Championship. Who wants to start? Who wants to go bold on predictions?
We'll go game by game. Hull v Leeds.
Yeah, Hull v
think
Leeds.
There's a right answer to this prediction. It's Hull 0, Leeds 1 based on previous results. Bamford will miss a shed load, but we'll get a scrappy goal. It might be Stuart Dallas 1-0 Leeds.
Leeds win. Simple as that. Yeah, I can't say Hull.
Give us a scoreline.
2-0 Leeds.
3-0 Leeds.
I'm going to go 2-0 Leeds. Bamford brace. That's what I'm going to go for. I think it just gets in the right positions. If you just keep getting in the right positions, it's going to click. There's going to be a game where he scores 5, eventually at some point, if Leeds stay in the Championship.
If I played every minute for Leeds this season, I'd back myself to score 8.
Oh, yeah, it's a perfect team to play in as a striker, isn't it?
And he's on 12.
I'd back myself to score 13.
Huddersfield Charlton then, interesting one this. Not too sure.
I'm going to go draw. I'm going to go with a 1-1 draw there. It's a big game for both teams, but yeah, I'm going to see. Just going to sit on the fence and go 1-1.
I'm going to go 2-1 Huddersfield. I think the home form's just about going to keep them up from now till the end of the season, and yeah, 2-1 Huddersfield.
I'll go 1 apiece. I don't think they can keep Lyle Taylor quiet for 90 minutes.
I'm going to go 0-0, but Lyle Taylor misses one of those penalties he does. You know, those stroll walk-ups that he does.
I hope for the sake of our podcast that's correct, then we can clip this up and this can go viral.
This is it. This is the big break that we need. So Lyle Taylor does a stroll up. Keeper goes the right way. Easy save. Reading Barnsley. I've gone for Barnsley. They are big outsiders. We're talking above 2-1 outsiders for this game.
I think
got a fancy Barnsley on recent form.
Reading weren't bad at Ellen Road last week. They actually played some good stuff. I think at the back though they are a bit suspect. I'm gonna go Reading. Just about. Well, I'll say bounce back. Get something back from the battering they got midweek. I'm gonna go 1-1.
They're the worst home team in the division, Reading. Fact. Worst home record in the entire division. 6 of their 18 or whatever is at home have been wins.
On that note, I'm going to go for Barnsley, continue their winning form, and make it 4 on the bounce. And I am going to go just with a sneaky little 1-0, and it's going to be that man, Woodrow.
Coley Woodrow. What a striker. Flanners, what are we saying?
This could go either way. This couldn't. But yeah, I'm going to go 2.
It's like any game, that, mate.
Yeah, good one. Yeah.
Great analysis.
I mean, technically speaking, he's correct.
Yeah, I'll go 2-1 Barnsley. Mowat to get the winner.
Nice. Sheffield Wednesday v Derby. Sorry, Sheffield Wednesday v Wayne Rooney's Derby County Football Club.
Formerly Frank Lampard's Derby.
Formerly
County
Frank
Football
Lampard's
Club.
Derby.
God, you can tell you're Leeds fans, can't you? Bloody hell.
I'm just observing how they refer to them.
Easy for you to say. I think if this was at Derby, you'd definitely be backing Derby, but their away record is really bad. They seem to lose every time they go on there. I don't have the stats in front of me, Tom. That's your job to be the statistician. Put you on the spot there. But I'm going to go with
on this thing, mate. I've just got a nice run order in front of me.
I'm going to go with another 1-1 there.
I'm going to follow Etherington and sit on the fence, and I'm going to go for 1 apiece as well.
I'm going to go nil apiece.
0-0. 4 draws. There we go. Right, while we're on it, Derby's away form, they are the second worst away team in the entire division. But of course, Wednesday haven't been great in recent weeks either, so
I knew you'd deliver.
Sets it up to be a classic, an absolute classic. Dropping into League One. Let's start with Donny then. No better person to ask first.
Yeah,
Doncaster v Wickham.
It's a big game, really. If we don't win, the season's done. So I'm going to back us 2-0, 2-1, 2-1, 2-1. Donny.
I am gonna go with Ainsworth to turn up and take the points.
Shock.
I'm gonna go 2-1 Wickham.
And I'm going to go with Flanners. I fancy Donny to respond. Wickham getting the jitters a little bit. I think Donny, I'm going to go for a high scoring Donny 3, Wickham 1.
We'll make it 2-2. I'll go for Wickham. 1-0 Joe Jacobson penalty. I like the penalties today. I'm going to go for that. I'll go for that. Rotherham MK Dons. Straightforward. Anything but 4 home wins here, and we're all wrong.
2-0. 2-0 Rotherham.
Yeah, I was going to go 3-0.
3-0.
3-0. I think it's got to be fairly comfortable for Rotherham, this one, hasn't it? Who we didn't talk about in kind of the preview bit, but quick word for them. Absolutely exceptional under Paul Warne again. They've found that mojo again.
Yeah, 100%, and I just don't want to reflect on it too much now, but they're just that team who yo-yo a lot. I think they're a team that are too good for League One, but are they good enough for Championship? When they go up, they'll keep the majority of the team, they won't invest much, and they'll try and go with what they've got, and I don't know whether that's enough.
All Rotherham and Barnsley do is switch position, don't they, in the table, in the Football League ladder. Finally, Bradford v Plymouth. Michael Helinski.
Again, I've sat on the fence pretty much all night with the predictions anyway. I'm going to go for a draw. I'm going to go with 1-1.
A very optimistic draw.
If you're going for a draw, that means I'm going for 2-1 Plymouth, because you always give Bradford an extra goal or reduce a goal off the opposition. So that means Plymouth are definitely going to win 2-1.
3-1 Plymouth. I've got invested interest in them. I backed them to win the league outright to start with, and they've got attacking. When they get going, they're a good team, like that Bury team last year, isn't they?
I'll go 2-0 Plymouth. I think they're too good.
Fair
for
enough.
Bradford, anyway.
Fair enough. I mean, us. Well, I was going to say
The
us
look
4
on Mike's face.
Maybe
staring at me for like that.
Maybe if we chuck Riley and Gunners in a 5-a-side team, because I can't imagine Mike would want to play against them. Could probably give Bradford a good run at the moment. It could be pretty decent.
Not with Riley, we wouldn't, trust me.
Get down to goals.
All
Gooders. We were going to finish there, but I was going to ask, we all enjoying a nice cup of Yorkshire tea after this, do we think? Are we going to unwind?
Big debacle in there.
This is
big
Mike's,
debacle.
This could be the start of a new feature, Mike's Rant of the Week.
This is the big debate.
I asked for this to be brought up because it's really, really wound me up as this topic. I wonder what I've seen over Twitter, just purely because, just to set the scene for people who haven't seen what's happened, is the Chancellor held up a massive bag of Yorkshire tea during a break about budget. Fair enough. Best tea in the world, so why not? People on Twitter have gone to attack Yorkshire tea thinking it was a PR stunt. Yorkshire tea have come out and said it wasn't. It was just off his own back. But the big thing that's wound me up about this, whether you're Labour, whether you're Conservative, I'm not getting into all that politics. Why does it bother you that much that you've gone to town on tea? It's irrelevant. I hate Leeds United. I hate Huddersfield Town. If one of their players was holding up a bag of Yorkshire tea, I would not go to slate Yorkshire tea about it. I just think, what is going on in people's lives to have a problem with this? End of the day, the people who are saying that they are not going to buy Yorkshire tea anymore, it's basically everyone who hates the Conservatives. Basically everyone who's Labour is saying they're not going to buy Yorkshire tea anymore. That is their loss, because Yorkshire tea is the Premier League. No, it's not. It's the Champions League of tea. So go drink your PG tips, go drink your English breakfast, and have shit tea for the rest of your life. Rant over.
Mate, you sound like Kevin Keegan then.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I'd love it.
This week I lost my head about this.
I'll get a Photoshop going if I got any time after this. Mike's sat on the fence, I think it's fair to say. Just out of interest, everyone's got to be on that side though, isn't it? It's fucking ridiculous.
The only thing I'll say,
going on.
if it was PG tips, it'd be absolutely right. Not towards Yorkshire tea.
I did enjoy Jacob Rees-Mogg put a picture of him eating Walkers and Tyrrells, but we've never been so glad to see a politician with Chris, which shows it up. Anything else you want to add, Mark, or do you just want to rant a bit on that? Give you a bit of a platform. Are you done?
What was the trending
He's
hashtag?
done.
What was the trending hashtag, Sue?
I was going to say...
Oh, that was so Sue was having a go. Someone called Sue as well having a go.
It's always someone called Sue.
Yeah.
Again, probably just at home, not got much going on. So she's on social media, decided to have a go at Yorkshire Tea. And Yorkshire Tea, fantastic. Whoever's in their social media team, a big raps to them, just came out with Sue. You're shouting at Tea, man. Like, what's going on?
Should we tweet him from the pod?
Yeah, I think we need to get our social media support behind Yorkshire Tea.
Absolutely.
I think we've mentioned before the sole purpose of this podcast is to get a sponsorship by Yorkshire Tea, so we're going to do it.
Yorkshire Tea, if you're listening, there you go. We're all behind you.
What a lovely way to finish. What a lovely way to finish.
Should we go for a pint?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Mike's calmed down a bit now, a little less red than he was 5 minutes or so. But boys, I've very much enjoyed that. Thanks for having me. Thanks for letting me come on and make the old debut.
You've made a strong case for the jersey. Dom, I hope you're listening. I hope you're petrified.
Why don't we do a Twitter poll? Best presenter.
Well,
Yes.
Dom will retweet it to his
Verified
his
followers.
verified followers.
Blue tick
Verified
gang.
followers.
Blue tick
I've got
gang.
more followers than him, so
Ooh.
I can have his blue tick. But
Getting bitchy now.
Obviously, I should be leaning towards sticking for Dom, being a Bradford fan, but I think you've done very well, Tom. But end of the day, is Etherington going to be Bielsa-like and stick with loyalty and stick with Dom, or is he going to give him a rest and go with Cardiff? That's the question. It is down to Etherington, this.
he goes on about Bamford. This is his big choice now, isn't it? He's going to have a few days to mull over it.
I didn't know it was down to me, but all I'll say is, Tom, you've been a good first edition. Flanners, you've been shit.
There we go. I'll take that 100%. Right, best of luck to your teams. For Mike's grateful, lovely words. Good luck to Bradford, especially at the weekend. And don't be Sue. That's the advice we're giving you for the weekend. Don't be Sue. Don't shout at tea. And enjoy your weekend. Hopefully, clean sweep. We can't quite have it, but a clean sweep enough of good results for the Yorkshire sides.